Hey folks, you're here at Quack Co, the channel where every video is 10 minutes or less. My name is Sean Peck of Pecktec Games, and I'm here to take over the channel this week. Today I'd like to talk to you about hierarchies in board games. And what I mean by that, a hierarchy is an ordered structure. So why are board gamers so obsessed with top 10 lists? Whole channels have been developed to just primarily create top 10 lists. And I've always wondered to myself, why board games in particular? I mean, there are top 10 lists for other things, but as you venture into these little communities within YouTube, I've noticed that board gamers really tend to want to put an order to things. And it's not just of the favorite games. It could be the favorite games of a particular genre. So you've got two-player games or multiplayer games or games that are around a specific thing, like my favorite science fiction games or something like that. So I think board gamers in particular have a sense of order, a sense of meaning around making things organized and putting things into a system that's just sort of makes more sense. So creating lists is a very natural thing. Creating preferences is a very natural thing. But I think it translates a little bit better to board games. One, most of us are pretty active consumers. So you're always going to be making a choice between one thing or another thing. So I believe that these lists sort of help us interpret maybe where we want to put our resources, be it time. A lot of board games take a lot of time to understand, or money. You've got two great Kickstarters, you're going to have to make a hierarchy of things to decide which one you're going to purchase. If there's two that cost a lot, and maybe you have to choose between one or the other. Hierarchies are present in just about any aspect of life. But I think that board games in particular sort of lend themselves to many of the things that make it sort of interesting to us. So when you're playing a board game, you're going to have to make decisions. So you might have a decision tree. So you've got another hierarchy of I'm going to do this, to do this, to do this. So there's always, I feel like whenever I play a board game or I experience something, I'm always sort of making a priority list of where things need to be. Then there's something to consider when you look at Board Game Geek, a website that seems to be entirely devoted to not only explaining board games and showing off the different genres of board games, but also a very large collection of rankings. Rankings by sometimes arbitrary numbers of plays and interest. Hell, there are things on there that are ranked that people haven't played at all. There are games that haven't even come out yet that are ranked higher than games that have been around for a long time. Why do we feel compelled to put games into these categories and even compare games that are vastly different from one another? All of that seems to come together in these numbers and orders of rankings. What games would you rank, and why would you put them in a particular order? Would you do it because maybe you want to express your favorite games to someone else? Is it because maybe you're trying to decide internally which games you're going to play this year? Maybe what you want for Christmas? There are any number of reasons to put these rankings and these orders of things. But why specifically do we do it for board games? And why do we spend so much time giving arbitrary numbers to games that maybe are so dissimilar from one another that really they shouldn't even be in the same universe? It's a good question. And I think it's a very human thing to kind of go in and put things in a certain order. It makes it make sense in your mind. It kind of clarifies things. And people love the analytical aspect of somebody or a group of people like this thing more than this thing. Places like BGG are an ultimate example of how much effort is put into this ranking system and why and it shows really the value. I mean, there's a lot of people that really put a lot of value into these numbers and these ranking systems. And sometimes I feel like sometimes it's justified and sometimes it's not. And it's sort of up to you to see through maybe the more basic aspects of that and to get more introspective into what really is a meaningful order of things for you. So with all that being said, that is just something that I've been thinking about a whole lot lately. There are so many channels that have made their videos almost entirely top 10 lists, and there seems to be a nearly infinite amount of top 10 lists, top 100 lists, best of all time lists. Making lists of things seems to be as much of an occupation for board game enthusiasts as the board games themselves. And I just wondered why. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been Sean Peck from Pecktec Games, taking over board... Dang it, got right to the end. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Sean Peck from Pecktec Games. I'm subbing in this week for Quack Co. We'll see you soon.